first episode. This is episode number 2. How you guys been doing this week?
Man, just working. That's all we can say. Just, you know what it's like, what we're doing there right now.
Yeah, man.
We're just working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of the things about it is all three of us work at the same spot. So we all just sit around, talk about Star Wars. This is what we would normally do on a regular lunch day. And so that's what we're going to do right now. We're just going to keep it real casual and just talk Star Wars. And I sent you guys a meme. I thought that was super funny. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it was talking about like the Clone Wars and like all the. I wish I had it on my. I wish I had it to share with the video, but yeah, I thought that was really like the Clone Wars itself. When you sit back and think about all the insane stuff that happened on that show, I thought that was just the funniest thing. But the one thing that you were saying, Taylor, is like they just dropped like Hondo, Anaka.
Yeah,
that was
no
it. Like they
said, just Hondo. That's all you need. What else do you need?
What else you got to say, right? It's just like, because I've heard people describe him as kind of like an intergalactic Captain Jack Sparrow. I thought that was like actually a pretty accurate, kind of.
I would say the same thing.
Yeah, it's just like, this is like if you took Captain Jack Sparrow and stuck him in space, and because he is a pirate, Hondo is a pirate. Right. So I'm waiting for this guy to show up someday on. Something.
Please.
Something.
But Sparrow meets Han Solo, basically.
Right. Yeah. I would love him to show up on some show. I'm not sure what show he would show up on.
I'm thinking Kenobi. Kenobi, that's my prediction. Because he had that history with Kenobi.
I think Ahsoka. I think he's coming in there. Because he like at the end of Rebels, I mean, he was good friends with Ezra, and I think he might have something to do getting information from somewhere, one of his contacts in the universe. You never know.
Ooh. I think he's looking for. You think he's looking for Ezra?
I don't know if he's necessarily looking for him, but I think he'll come into some information probably that he can maybe sell to Ahsoka or to the highest bidder, or where Thrawn is.
Because I'm thinking Kenobi. The reason why I'm thinking Kenobi is one, the history. But remember, Obi-Wan just can't walk around just easy, right? He has to be pretty much smuggled from places. Like if he's going to leave Tatooine and go to other places, who better way but another smuggler, a pirate?
You know what? I did a video about that because I was asking, well, who could possibly cameo for in Obi-Wan Kenobi? And that's why I was like, okay, who's your information guy? Like, who's a guy that has information that Obi-Wan might need, right? Because if somebody's like, for instance, you could tell he's off planet. He's not on Tatooine like this entire time. He goes off planet at some point in time. The rumor says it's about Princess Leia. I don't know if it's about Princess Leia or not, but that's what the rumors say. It's like Leia needs help, and it's like, all right, who's going to help her? I guess the only good Jedi, last Jedi we got is Obi-Wan. Hey, Obi-Wan, you got to get out here and do something about Leia. If that's the case, it's like, okay. Where is she? How do I find her? We don't know, but we just know she's in trouble. Okay, we got to get some information. Who does he go to for information? I said Saw Gerrera. I was saying, hey, maybe Saw Gerrera would help out. And the thing about it is,
I can see that
and the thing about it is, what's his name is on set with Andor, Forrest Whitaker. He was already on set while they were filming Andor. So it wouldn't be a thing just to be like, hey, Forrest, hey, come over here real quick. Hey, we need you to shoot a scene. Hey, you're just going to be in the little hologram, like you got a little hologram. Hey, hey, Saw, I need some information. Can you help us out? All right, here's what you got to do. And that would be like a really quick, simple cameo that they could just throw in there real quick, no problem. Something like that. But, I mean, I would love Hondo, man. I would love Hondo. Yeah. Hondo would be an awesome.
Whether it's one of those two or someone else, they're going to be dropping at least one or two that we have no idea that's coming. Just like Cad Bane, right.
When he showed up, it was like they can put anybody.
Yeah,
they can put anybody. So I'm like, okay, you got to get my boy Hondo in there. You just got to.
I mean, just like I said, man, Hondo is such an amazing character, man. If they could figure out like how to get this guy, really, integrated into, and I know Ahsoka probably would be a really good one too, because, of their relationship, obviously, but not just Ahsoka, but, anything going forward in that Star Wars universe, if they had him in Mandalorian, if he pops up in Mandalorian, like I would absolutely love that too, and I don't think there's any I don't think there's anything that, fans would probably be like, hey, man, give me as much of it as you can. Dave Filoni is just like a crazy man. This guy is likely just to throw. He's likely to throw everybody in this thing. Let's get them all back. Asajj Ventress might still be alive. Let's go ahead and bring her on in too. Let's have a cameo too.
I would like to see her actually. Yeah. She was a really good character. She'd be really cool.
She became a really interesting character as the Clone Wars continued, man. Like that would be dope. That would be super dope, man. But yeah, all right, let's just kind of jump into like one topic that I did want to talk about. We're gonna go ahead and share this up for the audiences here. And it's in regards to this topic right here. Ian McDiarmid. He's hinting here.
He won.
Now, Travell, you wanted to talk about this even before we started looking into articles and what we could possibly do. You wanted to talk about this. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to this real quick. Let me get to this. Bam. There we go. Okay. This is on FXitinPost.com. Yeah, you have to apologize. Man. They got like 1 million ads in this thing, man. Which I can kill some of these dang ads.
Of course, man.
But anyway, I'm going to just... man, you try to close them and it just says, hey, why this ass? I'm like, all right, it ain't gonna let me close it out. So, all right, whatever, just leave it alone. But yeah, it says here, Ian McDiarmid teases Palpatine's return in the upcoming Star Wars series. So he doesn't say what series. He doesn't say who, what, where, when. All he says is he could return in one of the new Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. And I'm gonna just jump right to his particular quote. It says here, all right, there's a certain show coming soon set around the time that I may have considered to be very active, McDiarmid said. He then teased that it might not be a huge cameo from his character. Whether or not you will see my physical body, I cannot comment on, but you will certainly feel my presence. All right, so here's the question. What shows are coming up, okay? You got Obi-Wan, obviously. And that seems to be the most obvious one to me, but let's talk about that. There's also Andor, all right? Andor also takes place in the time where, his presence is there. He could be popping up in it. All right, here, let's go. Theory time. What do you think?
I'm thinking Kenobi, just because it's the last of the Jedi. He's hunting them down. Vader's sending his Inquisitors and stuff, but Palps is like, yeah, we kind of need to take him out. I made Order 66 for a reason. I'm kind of running this thing. I need them all gone. Just like, take them out.
This thing is, we need to get this Order 66 finished up. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, so let's just going. Like you said, you may not see his physical body or his presence or what I was considered active. What better way to be active than the Purge, especially in this particular time period, 10 years when the Empire first started? Like, oh, you were in your prime in terms of being the leader at this particular point. So
yeah, this takes place Kenobi, like 9-10 years after.
Like 10 years.
Yeah. So he's right there in his prime, at least as far as, and the Empire should be kind of in its prime as well. 10 years set up, they got it going and everything like that. So yeah, I think that would be good. What about Andor?
Yeah, I'm thinking Andor because he was so involved with the Death Star and anything that went on with it. That was like his baby. I gotta say
that's a good point.
I mean, Kenobi, us fans would love that if he's in Kenobi with Vader and Obi-Wan and maybe Leia and whoever else they throw in there. But I feel like he's got to be coming in Andor too, or Ahsoka, or probably not Ahsoka. Definitely Andor. I'm thinking just because the Death Star was his baby, and I think he's gonna want to see that through in some way, whether, like he said in the article, whether we see him or not, we'll at least feel his presence in there.
Yeah.
The shows that, just for a recap, the shows that are set during the age of the Empire is what, Obi-Wan and Andor, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Ahsoka's post.
Yeah.
Ahsoka is post. Yeah. Ahsoka's taking place, because again, she's looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn. So it's supposed to pick up right after that Mando season 2, where she talks to the lady.
He wasn't active at that point.
He wasn't active, right? So yeah, it's going to actually. Yeah, the article actually. Let me jump back to that real quick because the article
still there in presence, I guess.
The article, here we go. The article kind of talks about that because it says it's an interesting tease considering there are 2 Star Wars shows that are expected to premiere this year. Obi-Wan is set to, of course, in May. And then it also talks about Andor is also set before the original trilogy. And so there's a chance Palpatine could show up in that. Obviously, that's either story, either way you go. I think that fans are going to love this. For one, because and like I said, Traville, you wanted to talk about just Palpatine on this episode, just in general, just talk about the guy. What was it that was on your mind about him?
Well, the reason, he has got to be the greatest villain probably in movie history. That's my opinion. This guy, if you think about him, if he really existed, the man single-handedly planned to get rid of the Jedi who stood for 1,000 years, had an empire, turned the so-called chosen one to his side, whooped ass. If it wasn't for some teddy bears that finally got him on Endor, he still would be ruling. He had all the perfect plans, and then, yes, it was fan service that happened in the Return of Skywalker, but nonetheless, I was running the entire show. It's me. This dude is a bad dude. So his character and the way Ian McDiarmid portrayed him, to me, it was just perfect. The voice, the mannerisms, the way he did everything. You remember Revenge of the Sith when he was giving the whole story about Darth Plagueis? That was one of the best scenes in the entire movie, just because he was sitting there he couldn't survive death himself. He was just just thinking about it.
One of the things I always wonder, why didn't they go deeper into that? Because I think that's one of the things I wanted to see. Even with the sequel trilogy when they brought him back, it's hey man, let's get into some of that Plagueis stuff. Maybe when he starts to talk about how he survived death. Maybe
that's why we need his own show. We need his own show for that.
I mean, you don't even need an own show. You could just show something. For me, I wanted to see okay, this guy's still alive. Please don't tell me it's clones and it's clones. It's all right, come on. Give me something else. Something interesting. Okay, yeah, I cheated death. I fell down that long shaft. But y'all don't know how I did, how I'm still alive. Y'all have no idea the kind of magic that I've been pulling together to kind of stay alive in situations like this. I was ready for you guys. You guys wasn't ready for me, but I was ready for you. And that kind of stuff.
That's that fits him. He's a planner. This guy
mastermind.
Everything. I was cool, except for some teddy bears that got me later on. I had everything covered. And even in the Clone Wars. Yep. His character in the Clone Wars, especially when he found Darth Maul and Savage, dude,
man,
I was sitting there that whole episode just screaming like a fangirl. I was just oh no, oh! And because in an animated show, you can make him physically do things that Ian McDiarmid can't do.
Right.
So when he was sitting there swinging that saber, I was just sitting there just in complete awe. Palpatine's the man.
That's one of the reasons why we want more animated, because all right, you could do stuff in animated that you can't do in real life. Ian McDiarmid, you could just, of course, do some CGI like they did
Dooku.
I mean, come on, man. That's the worst part about we know what these Jedi and these Sith are capable of, but the CGI to me just kind of never looks like real,
right?
I like saber fights like the one that and it's not my favorite saber fight, but I liked not the Duel of the Fates. What's man, gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
The one with Maul?
I'm not, but I that's the first one that always comes to my mind. I always want to say the one with
Luke and Vader, number 2.
Yes, well, really,
Return of the Jedi.
It's just like the power of the saber. When these guys are saber fighting, you just want to feel the energy and the emotion of that saber fight. That's what I like about when people are I like the fight between Paz Vizsla and Mando, Din Djarin in that episode. I like those kind of fights where everything is just raw. You know what I'm saying? It's like the emotions are there and everything's raw. That's what Vader and Luke had, and you really haven't seen anything like that except for, of course, Obi-Wan and Anakin at the end of Revenge of the Sith. But because it was so much CGI, it just took me out of it. Like they're fighting on this mountain. And this
on that little huge metal thing.
Yeah, and you could tell this okay. Yeah, it's just like they're doing all of these stunts and everything like that, and it looks cool, like it does, but I never just, I don't know, man. It just took me out of it.
What about the Yoda one? The Yoda against Dooku.
Same thing, man. Little Yoda just pip, 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 pip. just hopping all over the place. And Yoda's my guy. Yoda's my favorite character. Right? Yeah, it's like, come on, throwing little Senate chairs down and stuff. I mean, all of that is interesting and fun. Don't get me wrong, but I think lightsaber duels are interesting when it's just more raw, visceral emotion behind it. Like when Luke is fighting Vader at the end of and then he says, "I'm gonna turn your sister." And Luke's
like, "What?"
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And then it was the music that they put in too. You could tell it was the emotional one. And yeah, you're right. That one, I know that lightsaber fight, Return of the Jedi, dude, that was emotional. Now choreography,
that's like the original Kenobi and Vader on the Death Star when he sacrifices himself. That's like, it's a cat and mouse game, but it's almost mental in that sense because Kenobi at that point knows he can't win, but he at least can stop it to keep the resistance going. Right. He knows Luke's there. So
he also looked over there. Remember, he looked over and said, "All right, Luke's looking at me. All right, cool." He kind of sees it. And then, that's when he kind of, okay, that's it, because now Luke is going to be committed, As Luke sees me die, he's going to be committed to the cause. And that changed everything.
Fighting wise, it's not the greatest, but
I mean, it's like, but hey, man, you saw that reimagining of the saber fight, right?
Dude, that was incredible.
Man, you never saw that, Taylor?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh my God! Now
you gotta see it, dude.
Hold up. Taylor got to see this, man. Man, folks, we gotta bring Taylor up to speed. I hope the folks that created this video don't mind, but we gotta bring Taylor up to speed. What was the name of it?
Was watching this up to speed and they haven't seen it. This is what, man, I wish this really was in A New Hope. Like, man.
Yeah. I'm just going to play like a clip of this. I'm not going to play it very long because I don't want to steal these guys' thunder. But man, Taylor, all right, look, here we go. Let me get to this. Bang. All right. So it sets it up just like, you're part of like it's part of the movie, right? So it's like, you skip ahead, it's got Obi-Wan, and then it shows like Darth Vader walking around here, right? So check this out. Look at this, man. It's like it where it does, you can tell that's not Obi-Wan, obviously, but where it inserts, like, all right, so you see there's there's Obi-Wan, there's Vader, right? This is this is awesome, man. This is awesome. Now watch this. They use some of the dialogue. I got it on mute, obviously. They use some of the dialogue, I think, in this, but I think they added some dialogue too. I want to say they added some dialogue. When you get a chance, Taylor, just check this out on your own time so you can hear the whole thing, because this thing is absolutely incredible. Look the way they even set this thing up.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh wow. Okay. That looks like a video game almost, but
I mean, obviously.
Right.
Damn. Yeah.
And then then like I said, you're gonna see them intersperse. You're gonna see them interspersed with actual scenes from A New Hope.
Nah, I gotta check that out. The full version.
Oh yeah, check this out on your own time, man. This is one of
it'll blow you away.
Yeah, look at that. This dude's throwing stuff. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh man.
Yeah, man. This is like, to me, if they put this in the movie, holy crap, this would have been the best fight. This would have been the best saber fight of all time.
Easy.
And honestly, like I said, and then you see he kind of puts in some of the, the original, footage from A New Hope. They kind of intersperse it. You know what I'm saying? They're using a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I don't know. I think traditional fans, they might crucify George Lucas to do that back in there, though.
But anyway, yeah, that's all I was going to show, man. But yeah, when you get an opportunity, Taylor, you got to check that out, man. The name of the video is Star Wars SC-38 Reimagined. If you just type in Obi-Wan Vader Reimagined, it'll pull up. But yeah, man, that's one of the all-time. Like, I remember watching this, and I remember showing this to Travell when we was at work one day. I said, "Hey, man, Travell, you got to check this out." And he was like, "What is this, man?" And we looked at that thing, and he was like, "Ooh."
Dude,
yeah,
you were just.
But anyway, man, we gonna move on.
We need to watch it again.
What's up?
Now I'm saying like we discussed at work. It was like we got to watch this scene again, just because
again and again, man. Yeah, that thing is awesome. All right, let me go move on real quick. This is another little topic that we're gonna bring up here. Is Ahsoka, and as we know, Ahsoka's coming soon. There we go. Lucasfilm announced that the Ahsoka series begins filming today. So this was this past Monday, right? Yes. Monday, May 9th. So finally, we get the Ahsoka series. Now finally starting to film. This is the tweet that they sent out.
Right.
Ahsoka, an original series, starts production today. Of course, we see right there. What's that? Oh, the little cowboy hat that belongs to Dave Filoni. So yeah, it's time to start talking about Ahsoka and getting ready for this series. And it just kind of runs through this, it's talking about, her past and all that kind of stuff. And then it says here her appearance in The Mandalorian, basically saying that she's searching for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, there's a lot of people that's in this that has already been announced, but I don't think they've announced Thrawn yet. And also they're looking for Ezra Bridger. Ezra and Thrawn disappeared over in the same incident, and it's likely that finding one will lead to finding the other. So, what are you guys expecting? They got Sabine in the show, obviously. And then they also say Hayden's coming back. He's going to be Anakin Skywalker. I want to say, like, what do you think Anakin's going to be doing in this? It's just like, Force Ghost stuff.
Force Ghost. It would have to, because of the time frame. He's already Vader.
Well, I was thinking it could be flashbacks. I think it could be flashbacks. Like maybe he's showing up in a flashback or something like that. But you think maybe Force Ghost?
I'm thinking Force Ghost because remember he flipped over to the light. Ahsoka is still using Jedi principles, even though she says, I'm not a Jedi anymore, but she's still using Jedi principles. So you can totally see
think
Anakin
that
talking to her.
If she's not a Jedi, she could see Force Ghosts, even though she's not a Jedi. She does. Like
she's saying she's not a Jedi, but she still uses Jedi.
It's like a mercenary Jedi, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of how I see her too. But I wasn't sure. It's like, okay, if you say I'm no longer a Jedi and you stop practicing, the Jedi arts, or maybe you're still using the Force, but you're not necessarily practicing the Jedi arts. I'm always confused with Force Ghosts. I don't know how they work.
She was basically a Jedi master. I mean, they didn't knight her or anything, but she was basically a Jedi master when she got kicked out.
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
I think
actually, she is. I think you can still see Force Ghosts. Luke was not a Jedi Knight, and he was seeing Ben.
Well, he was hearing him, right?
He was hearing. He could see.
He heard him in A New Hope, so he heard his voice, and then he saw him in Empire. Yeah,
he wasn't a Jedi. He didn't even start the training yet, but he was able to see Obi-Wan.
It's just your connection to the Force, I guess. In the end,
I always wonder, like, how did Anakin learn how to do Force Ghost stuff? Remember, like, there's supposed to be, Qui-Gon had to go through this whole process to learn. Like, what did he do? Like, because he's Darth Vader from the time he, was he kind of like studying on the side? Like, all right, man, let me let me go ahead and see how to do these, become a Force Ghost at the end.
I think it's called plot hole.
maybe
because from the time he changes, like, at what point in time did you learn how to do this, bro? Like, you've been a Sith this entire time until you died, and then, Force Ghost. And I mean, I guess it's possible maybe somebody taught him in the afterlife. I don't know. They never explained it.
Palpatine promised that he could bring Padme back, and he didn't. So he's like, Anakin, I'll teach you this, and we're good.
But does he? I thought remind me of how I know that they had the whole thing when Yoda's learning it, right? He learned it. How did that even go down? Like, I just remember. I got to go back and watch those episodes again. But I remember there's a whole process that they had to go through to become a Force Ghost. So yeah, it just seems like a plot hole.
It's a plot hole. Lucas never it's just something continuity error. Just don't worry about it. He just became a Force Ghost. He just wrapped it up nice.
Yeah, man. But I think I think you're right though. I think it's going to be a Force Ghost. I don't think it's going to be flashbacks. It might be some flashbacks, but I think mostly it's going to be Hayden or Anakin talking to her. What kind of conversations are they going to have? What are they talking about?
So you're here too, huh?
Like, that's interesting for me because I want to see, we never got to see them kind of tie that up, You know, what happened? I mean, we saw the entire Clone Wars, and I mean, these two were super close, you know, like almost like brother, sister, you could say, and like very, very close. And then that relationship just completely goes awry. Anakin, you know, and they end up having a, you know, saber battle in Rebels, you know, and, you know, Ahsoka says, this time I'm not going to leave you, you know, because she has like that feeling, hey, man, because I left you, you know, that's what did it, you know, that's what did it. So I know that this time she's like, yeah, I'm not leaving you. You know, we're going to do this for real and we're going to make this work. So I wonder if from that particular moment, you know, in Rebels, was something resolved there. Obviously, you know, the world between worlds and all that kind of stuff happened after that. We don't know if Vader killed Ahsoka. Like if that world between worlds never happened, would Vader have killed Ahsoka?
I think so.
Yeah.
Think so?
Just the fact that he was going around killing kids, he was gone.
Yeah.
Which is why Obi-Wan was like, yeah, betrayed and murdered your father, because all the stuff of Anakin was pretty much buried. Obviously, he came back later because it took his son. But I think in that moment, at his height, when he was brand new Vader, I think he would have killed him.
Man, just thinking about that, man. He killed his own Padawan. Whoa, man, that would have been something.
That would have been crazy. But I remember that scene in the Clone Wars where in the Clone Wars where, you know, when he went off to, you know, to begin Revenge of the Sith, when they separated. To me, that was an emotional scene because you know what's going to happen next.
Yep.
And so they never got that resolution. It was just like, okay, you're off on a mission. Good luck.
And that's why I think Filoni is doing this now, because he's like, I want to tie that loose end up. Like, how did they reconcile, or at least, you know, come back together? What happens when she meets up with him once again? That's going to be an emotional moment, like even as a Force ghost. And I don't know, it's like, have they been communicating this whole time? You know, ever since he died in the last 5 years, has he been communicating? Has he been nervous? Like, I don't know. Man, I don't want to face Ahsoka. You know, I did a lot of deadly, horrible things, and now I got to go face my old Padawan. How does she feel about me? Will she even want to talk to me? You know, like that kind of stuff. Man, that's going to be a fascinating moment when the two of them meet up, even as a live person and a Force ghost. I think, and you know, Force ghost stuff always ends up becoming very emotional and very like interesting anyway, you know, like just on the surface, because it's like, all right, this person is popping in, they ain't popping in for nothing, you know, they got something to say, you know, it ain't just coming up, hey, how you doing, this one's the chat. No, it's like, nah, you know, major stuff is happening. I gotta talk to you, we got stuff to discuss. That's why this person's even showing up in the first place. So yeah, I expect like an incredible, you know, series. Taylor, you said this was like the series you were looking forward to the most, right?
Yeah, you guys know me and Filoni we trust. That's my motto. So whatever he touches, I am good to go with. And I mean, after Clone Wars and Rebels and even her popping up and Mando, I mean, obviously Obi-Wan's my top, but this is right below it where I'm ready for this one.
Okay, all right. Do you think this is a this is going to be a series, or is this going to be a one off? Oh, I got to change this up.
I'm hoping it's going to be a series. It depends if it's only like six episodes or something. Like if they even have time to get through finding Ezra and Thrawn or wherever it leads them. Who knows? They could weave it back into, you know, Mando or something, but we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it's longer than one season, though.
No, I have to agree with that. And I mean, is there enough story? Like, okay, can we just tell it in one? All right, they find them. I mean, because like, let's say it's 8 episodes. You know, we got to go find Thrawn and Ezra, right? And then we have to, you know, there's going to be some sort of conflict. You have to assume there's going to be some sort of conflict. I don't think you can wrap up that large of a story in one season. I just don't think you can. I think it's going to take at least 3 seasons if you want to, you know, it might feel like it's some stretch. They got some filler episodes in there, you know, it's kind of like that Frog Lady episode, probably the Frog Lady episode, Mando. It's like, hey, do we really need to? But that was just filler. We knew it's like, all right, man, we got to get like a certain amount of episodes in here. What else? Hey, guys, what ideas do we got? Hey, man, why are we doing Frog Lady? What are you doing? Frog Lady?
I forgot about that episode.
That thing in there.
and have Grogu eat some eggs.
Damn, hey man, that'll be comedy relief and stuff. And there was another one that season. I can't remember it. It was just like all kind of goofy, just like all right. y'all had a little time left. It's like we got some more budget, What do you want to add? Why not?
but I think because Ahsoka's such a major character that wasn't in the movies, because she's so important. If they give Boba Fett another season, you can totally see they're gonna give Ahsoka another season. It's not gonna just be one. She's too important. And let's say they find Ezra and they find Thrawn, then it's like, okay, what happens from that point? Does Thrawn like, okay, you found me, okay, I'm done? No, I mean, you can see them building a whole story off of that. The post we found them type stuff. So I can see it going a few seasons.
I agree. Like, if you find them, all right, we found them. All right, that's it. It's like, what happens now? Unless you kill Thrawn right then and there after you find them, then it's like, all right, I guess we good.
That's a waste of the character right there, though. With Thrawn, how they built him up so much, like they can't just, oh yeah, Ahsoka, we found him one series. Oh yeah, Ezra's fine, and we're gonna kill Thrawn. Like everything's good. Like I can't see them doing that. Like
that would be a huge waste of a character. Like if you get Thrawn and you build him up, like you said, all the way to this point where Thrawn is like the big bad, right? And I think Thrawn can end up kind of being like that big bad guy, with all of these various series that they're putting together. I don't know if they're going to go back and do Rangers of the New Republic if Gino Carano's not involved. But they could still probably put another series out there. So you have Ahsoka, you have Book of Boba Fett, you have Mandalorian, and then you can maybe set up like, Thrawn to kind of be like the Thanos of all of that, and then he's like gonna, like that. Then you working your way towards your end game. I think that would be a really interesting way to kind of, like wrap up all of these Star Wars series, is to have like a final showdown. And then maybe after that leads directly into the new Resistance or the First Order. Yeah. Then maybe that's how you kind of lead into that, it's like, okay, now we're setting up the First Order, Luke, any Luke in this?
What, Ahsoka?
Yeah.
I can see it happening. I don't think like as a major piece, but maybe like a cameo type deal, because just like she made a cameo in Boba Fett and hanging out with Luke and Grogu, you can see those two still interacting. Like, I don't think that whole relationship is done, which is kind of wild when you think about it. Like, Ahsoka was there with his father. Now, like, it's just kind of crazy how time go by. Like, she's seen it all.
I wonder if they would have the episode where Luke is there talking to Anakin with Ahsoka. Wow, like imagine that.
That would be crazy.
That would be mind-blowing, man. I think the Star Wars fandom would just kind of melt down at that.
That's it. That's all you need.
Man, I mean, we would have, oh man, I couldn't, I don't know what to think about what the fandom would be doing if that happened. You bring in Anakin, Hayden Christensen, you get Luke in there, and Ahsoka, and they just sitting around having a powwow. Now that's one scene where I wouldn't mind. Hey, what's going on, guys? Let's sit here and roast some, little animals from
those things. Man,
let's just sit back and roast those little guys and have a chat.
And you can see, like, if they're having that chat, you can totally see Anakin too talk about. See, y'all didn't grow up and do Jedi training like I know Ahsoka did, but y'all like that new age Jedi. You guys have attachments now. You don't have to be taken when you were like an infant, basic kidnapping and just
all of that.
Indoctrinated.
All right, man. Next up, all right, we're gonna move on because this is one that I want to talk about because I think we both agree, or we all three of us agreed that the thing that we want to see the most of is a movie. What's the movie news coming up? And we got a little bit of a Kevin Feige Star Wars film update. Did you guys see Doctor Strange, by the way?
I did.
I have
yes.
You did? What'd you think?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Not too hot on it, huh? Okay, all right. I loved it. I thought the movie was phenomenal. But again, I'm a Sam Raimi guy. I'm a big Sam Raimi fan. Always have been. Going back to Evil Dead, going back to Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, Dark Man. All of his old films. A Simple Plan. Drag Me to Hell. So all, of course, the original Spider-Man movies. Like, I've always been a fan of this guy. But So I had a little bit of a bias, but yeah, there's a lot of like mixed reactions to that. But
I
here's
thought
the
it's just
article.
like too fast paced and like cluttered kind of for me.
Yeah, they just threw everything at the wall.
Yeah,
They said, all right, man,
it's like
let's throw
6
this
movies in one.
Yeah, man, we just gonna go after it. We don't care, you know. And it was wild. It was a wild ride. I loved it though, but I can see why people didn't like it because it is kind of all over the place in a sense. But like I said, that's Sam Raimi. Sometimes, you know, Sam Raimi just goes for it, you know. But in any case, here's the story. Doctor Strange 2 is the writer. He's the guy that wrote that. So I don't know if you're gonna like this one, Taylor. The guy that wrote that, you know, concoction. But he's also a writer on Rick and Morty. I don't know if you guys watch Rick and Morty. I'm a Rick and Morty fan. I like that show. So he's also a writer on Rick and Morty. He also wrote Loki. So this guy has, you know, a lot of writing chops. He's done a lot of work. And so he's writing Kevin Feige's Star Wars film. And here's what it says here. So I'm just going to go ahead, jump into, let me see. Let me get to the Star Wars part. Where did I miss it? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is it, right? All right. So it says here, recent interview, Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness writer Michael Waldron, who's also writing Kevin Feige's Star Wars project, shared some updates regarding the development of the potential new film in the franchise, and which he assured that he is still working on it. Says here, we're finally into it in earnest. I mean, I'm writing away. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying having the freedom on that to do something that's not necessarily a sequel or anything. A very interesting comment. It maybe has a little bit less of it just doesn't have a bunch of TV shows and movies that you're servicing on top of it, the way I did with Doctor Strange. So it's nice. It feels like a different exercise. So I thought that was really interesting. He says here, number one, it's not necessarily a sequel, okay? And then number two, it doesn't have a bunch of TV shows and movies that you're servicing on. So it's not connected to anything that we already know. He says, you know, he probably has to say, yeah, I got to pay some homage to this. I can't just go off on my own and write something insane. Yeah. But it's not like it's so intimately tied into what we already know that I can't even move. Like I'm stuck. Because that's kind of what it is with Marvel, right? Like Marvel is like, hey, we got this thing planned out. We know what X equals Y to Z. We got to make sure that the pattern falls from phase 4 to phase 5 to phase 6. They got all of this stuff laid out. So for this guy, he's saying, hey, I got a little bit of freedom here. And that kind of makes me wonder, where are they setting this thing at? You know, is it way in the past? You know, where you could kind of, you know, say, hey, we don't have anything connected to any of the regular, like the current characters, or is it way off in the future? What do you guys think?
It is an interesting quote because, like he said, it's not necessarily a sequel, but the fact that he said it, it makes me think that it's going to be in the future, that it's not necessarily connected to what we saw in the sequel trilogy. It's something new. But what I hope they remember, and I know we've had this conversation a lot, it's not Star Wars if you don't somehow have a connective tissue to it.
Yeah.
If it's something completely separate, even if it's just a planet, okay, we're now set on, you know, Exegol, something that's connected, then you're not Star Wars. Star Wars, you have to somehow connect it to it. So
no, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I agree. I kind of think in this sense, I kind of think because of the way he's discussing it, it might actually be set in the past. It might be set in the far past, like going all the way back to the Knights of the Old Republic, or maybe even something. I don't think it's going to be High Republic, but something in that, like that High Republic era. I can absolutely see them doing something like that, you know. But I don't know.
Jedi's something, you know.
Yeah, it'll have, like I said, I think this will still have Jedi. It will still be connected in some loose sense to the, you know, overall trilogy, the original trilogy, of course. But is it going to be, you know, like what is it going to be? It's not connected to anything directly. It's not a direct connection. So that gets me kind of excited because remember, that's always my thing. Hey, can we get away from where we're currently at? Can we go off into the future and tell Star Wars stories from that point? You know, this universe is starting to feel a little small where we're always just running in to the same people because we keep frequenting ourselves around the same time frame. And plus now it's like, all right, you know, when you have, it makes people ask those questions like, well, where's Luke? You know, it's like if you keep floating around in this particular era, hey, how come Luke didn't show up to save the day? You know, everybody's going to start asking those kind of questions because you keep staying in this like, hey, go out into the, you know, Mark Hamill's 60-something years old. He can't go back and play Luke like he was, a teenager again. Get away from this, hire some new, cast some new actors and writers. And let's tell some old Republic stuff, or let's go into the far future. Let's, hey, let's keep writing this thing instead of just kind of hanging out in, the Skywalker era, which I don't mind. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind it, but it would be nice to, eventually get away from it anyway. That's how my,
because I know you like The Last Jedi. Because you like the way,
I like that.
Rian Johnson just
don't
went
talk
for
about
broke.
that movie.
I'm not a fan of it either. But
here's, I always got to defend myself. I always got to defend my point about The Last Jedi is, and like you said, Travell, it's because I want to see something different. That I hate what they've done. I love what they've done. I want to see Star Wars grow beyond just the original trilogy, and a lot of this feels like everything is circling around that original trilogy. And it's like, I think Star Wars has more to offer than that. That's why I say, okay, Rian Johnson tried to do something, different. And I respect that. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of his choices, but I do enjoy certain parts of that film where I feel like, okay, he tried to do something different. He wasn't just going to be like, all right, we're just going to do, because that's what J.J. Abrams did. And I kind of felt like J.J. Abrams set Rian Johnson up to kind of fail when he's like, all right, we didn't put, Han, Luke, and Leia, we ended any possibility of that, having Han, Luke, and Leia in the same film.
That was a mistake.
We killed him off. Then by killing him off, it makes you wonder, well, why didn't Luke, like I said, where was Luke Skywalker? How come he didn't come in and rescue Han? I mean, he should have felt that. Oh, he was somehow disconnected from the Force. That's the only thing that makes any kind of sense. He was disconnected from the Force. Well, why was he disconnected from the Force? So you got to start asking all of these logical questions, and he's trying to answer them in the most logical way that I guess his brain worked. So I appreciated the fact that, all right, he didn't just go and say, we're just going to keep doing, Star Wars the way that it's been done. We're going to try to change some stuff up. It didn't work. But I appreciate the attempt because I want to see Star Wars grow from more than just, Han, Luke, Leia, and even though you keep those same elements, it's not just Sith, Jedi, Rebels, Empire. There's more to it. You could get into the criminal underworld, and you could show, hey, maybe there's a different branch of Force users that use the Force, but not necessarily, tie themselves into a sect. I'm not just like Ahsoka. Ahsoka's not a Jedi. Stuff like that is interesting to me. That's what I find interesting about Star Wars.
It's like that tree guy on Rebels, or on that one planet where they're that base.
Oh that? Yeah. The what was that called? Man, I
forgot that guy's name, but
or even homeboy in Rogue One. The blind guy.
Chirrut, Chirrut, or
Like he wasn't a Jedi, but he knew how to use the Force.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like that kind of stuff is interesting to me. So when I hear stuff like what they're talking about, and let me jump back to this article real quick. When I hear stuff that they're talking about, boom. I keep clicking the wrong things. I don't know why. When he's talking about this here, I'm jumping into a whole different article. That he has the freedom on that to do something that's not necessarily a sequel, and that it doesn't have a bunch of TV shows or movies that you're servicing on top of it. When I hear that, I'm like, okay, this guy's going to actually try to change something up. Now, how is it going to work? You're not. It seems like it's completely divorced of anything dealing with the Skywalker era. Yeah, that's what it seems like right now. Okay, just based on what this guy's saying, it's not tied to anything. It doesn't have a bunch of TV shows or movies that you're trying to service it. So, is it going to be any good? Are people going to accept it? That remains to be seen. But I think that the key point is that it's different. And and it's not that I hate the old stuff. But it's like, can we grow? Can we change? Or is this all we got? If this is all we got, then it's all we got. But at least we could say, hey, you know what? We tried something different. It didn't work. All right, moving on. Let's go back to, bringing back the old stuff from the Skywalker era. At least that's how I look at it. I don't know what you guys think. That's how I look at it.
Maybe he's just going to bring the multiverse into this and just retcon
everything. He did just write Dr. Strange. Yeah. Hey, man, there's a lot you can do with that world within the world, right? I just think that, Star Wars growing beyond it. You know, it's a point that's always made about Star Trek, right? You know, and I think I've shared this with you, Travell, that Star Trek kind of, you know, faded away. Why? Because their fans got old. You know, like all of the Star Trek fans are like guys in their, you know, they remember the original series, and then, you know, in their 40s and 50s and 60s, they're not bringing on new guys. They're not bringing on the kids. They're not bringing on 20 somethings. They're just, you know, most of Star Trek's fan base is still in their like 40s, 50s and up. And so it's like, okay, well, what happens as these guys, you know, age out and die? You know, people even going to care about Star Trek no more? That's one of the things that I feel, okay, Star Wars, keep refreshing yourself. Now, you still got to do the original series correct. You can't just crap all over the original series. You can't crap all over the original characters. I think that's where Rian Johnson kind of fumbled, because he's like, all right, man, you know, and I think if he had just said, you know what, I messed up, he probably would have been all right, but he had other statements to say, and that's on him. But I think that was I think that was the mistake. It's like, hey, you know, bring in completely different characters and go in a different direction. Don't crap on the old folks, because, you know, that's what we as older fans, right? Yep. That's where the backlash comes from. That's where we as the fans are saying, hey, respect what we, you know, love. Don't, you know, tarnish that. You know, that anyway, you know, Taylor, you're a young guy, you know, are you worried about that at all? Like, you know, you worried about the fan base just kind of getting older and older, and pretty soon it's like, hey man, I'm going to Star Wars conventions, ain't nobody but old people up here.
I mean, I was worried after the last sequel trilogy came out, but since they've come out with Mandalorian and Boba Fett, I think they're on their way back. Like, like you said, it's you know, honoring the past, but also, you know, going forward at the same time. Like, you know, you can still have those influences, like Mandalorian, you still have all the influences, but the main character, arguably Mando, has no connection to the past. Same with Grogu in there, has no connection really to the past. So if you can do that, find that, you know, equilibrium or, you know, gray area that works perfectly, you can still sell your Grogu toys to the next generation coming up and still honor by bringing Luke back at the same time.
Man, that was the genius move from the standpoint of Star Wars, is hiring Dave and John and coming out with Grogu and Mando. I think they literally saved this franchise. Because I'm like you, Taylor, like after Rise of Skywalker, I was like, wow, like I don't know where you go from there with this. I think, you know, like all the characters, like what's his name, John Boyega, he was like, man, I'm done. You know, like everybody was just kind of done with Star Wars at that point, and nobody wanted to come back and revisit anything, and it was kind of like, ugh. And then all of a sudden, you know, the Mandalorian drops, and everybody's, you know, like everybody's excited again. You know, everybody got reinvigorated. It's like, thank you. You know, they literally saved that franchise, you know,
and grew the whole fan base. When you had Baby Yoda, Grogu, like people who weren't watching the Star Wars movies, they saw a cute little Baby Yoda, like, oh my god! And so
I
gotta have him. So now all the
it's like the new Gizmo, man. Remember Gizmo and Grizzly? He just became the new Gizmo, man. I mean, Taylor, you too young to remember.
He's too young for that.
Look, in our day, man, Gizmo was everywhere, man. You could not go into a store without seeing a little Gizmo toy sitting somewhere. He was on television. He was on every commercial, man. Gizmo was. And it's the same thing, Baby Yoda. Everywhere you look, everywhere you go, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda sold out. Baby Yoda's, you know, little toys, big, everything you could possibly think of. They put him on everything. Like also like Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing, you know. They just slapped him on everything, you know. But yeah, that's what I think Star Wars needed. And, you know, they got to thank John and Dave for that, because, nobody else was coming up with this. And so when they came up with that, and I was surprised, because when I say, all right, Mandalorian, what's this going to be about? Oh, you know, it's going to be a show, whatever. Okay, cool. You know, watch a little Mandalorian, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden at the end of episode 1, you see this little, hey, is that a Baby Yoda? You know, it's like, like, wait a second, where is this thing going? Hold up, wait a moment. And you saw this little Baby Yoda peeking out of the little sheet and just kind of looking up. I was like, oh, crap. And then the second episode, they just jump right into it. He's out here battling the little mud horn. I was like, oh, they got this thing. They nailed it. They nailed it. Man. But yeah, but that was it, fellas. I mean, I don't really have much else. It's like we talked about 3 topics. Ian McDiarmid. We talked about Ahsoka. We talked about Kevin Feige movie that's upcoming. I know I'm getting ready for Star Wars Celebration, of course. That's coming up in 2 weeks now. 2 weeks from today. Yeah, 2 weeks from today. Activated my little badge. You get a little badge in the mail. You activate that. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me, guys. Anything else?
15 days till Kenobi.
Oh, man.
Right.
And since you mentioned that, we didn't get an opportunity, because it came out the same day that we dropped. We dropped our little first episode on Star Wars Day, right?
Yeah.
We dropped our episode on Star Wars Day. We actually didn't get a chance to talk about the Obi-Wan trailer. And
we save it for next week. It'd be like a cliffhanger. So all the people out there watching are like, are they going to talk about the trailer now? Like, like a little tease,
Let's go ahead and bring it up here right quick. Let's go ahead and do that. So the Obi-Wan trailer, boom. All right. What were y'all thoughts when y'all saw this trailer? Let's just go right into it. What were your thoughts as you saw this thing playing out?
Yeah.
I got way too excited.
It's pretty much perfect in my mind. Only thing I nitpick is just from the Grand Inquisitor's face right there. Head structure. That's just nitpicking, but
you don't like his face? I don't know about it, man.
I like the elongated face and everything.
You want that look that he had in
Rebels.
Yeah, I want that.
Enough.
Yeah, nah.
I think it's close enough too. I like it. Unfortunately, that's a cartoon. These are human beings.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what you want from us, man? You want me to stretch this guy?
Like I said, I'm nitpicking.
Hey.
I'm nitpicking.
But then again, they could, because you remember in Revenge of the Sith,
when
that clan, where Grievous was,
right.
Homeboy had a long thin face, so I guess that's on them then.
There's a lot of action in this trailer, man. It makes me really think like, okay, this is going to be a full-on action series. You see, Obi-Wan using a blaster, even. It's like, hey, man, I thought that thing was uncivilized. Here you are using them. Yeah, I mean,
they got 6 episodes. I don't think they'll have any weird filler
this part right here, though.
Mandalorian episodes in there, so.
This part right here, though.
Oh, that last part. Yeah, man.
Like, are we about to? Oh, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this series, honestly, man, I think this is going to be the best thing that Disney Plus has done. Period. Marvel, Star Wars, whatever. I think this is going to be the best series.
It better be.
That Disney Plus has.
All the hype.
It better be. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't know what. I don't know if there's been anything that I've really loved, like except for Mandalorian. This first season, I love the first season of Mandalorian, and I have a feeling that this is going to outdo that. And so right now, like Mando is like on top of my list in terms of, okay, best thing that Disney Plus has put out, Mandalorian. And then everything else, most of the stuff I'm just all right with, it's all right. It was okay. But I think that this series is going to elevate itself and go even better than the Mandalorian. And that's what, at least I hope so, because if it don't, you gonna hear it.
We went right back into the Stone Age.
It has impossible expectations. Mando had no expectations season 1. This has like astronomical expectations.
Oh, man, yeah. This
you got Ewan McGregor. You brought back Hayden Christensen. They hyped it up. Like, you have to deliver at this particular point. I think they will, just because they know, like, we can't mess this up. Like, we got everyone excited. We man, y'all gotta bring it. You gotta bring it.
Yeah, if they mess this one up, I think that I think that sets them back. All the way back to like almost probably back to the original Mandalorian. Like everything, any games that they made, it's gonna be like the stock market going up and coming right back down. That's what it's gonna be like, man.
You can't even talk like that. It's gonna be fine. It'll be fine.
Taylor's ever optimistic. Yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
I think it's gonna be good.
I honestly think it's gonna be great, but I'm just, sometimes, you guys, this is the same folks that did Rise of Skywalker. Like, ooh, I don't know. Deborah Chow, I know she's the one that directed. She directed, I want to say, the third episode of Mandalorian season 1. I can't remember who directed. She directed one of those really, really good episodes. Oh, I know. I think it was the one with Bill Burr, the very first, that one. I think she directed that one. You know what? Why am I guessing, man? Let me just look it up because
that's doing that Prison Break on the Republic ship.
I think that was the one that she directed. Let me just see that real quick. Let's see. Oh no, she directed. Okay, yeah, she directed that one, and she also directed episode 3 and episode 7. So she directed all 3. She directed episodes 3, 6, and 7. And yeah, 6 was the prison break one. Okay. So yeah,
is she doing every episode of Kenobi, or is it like
she's doing every episode? She is the director. It's not like they're changing off or anything. She's directing every. Actually, I don't know. I think Bryce Dallas Howard might be directing one. I think they may have thrown her an episode 2, and her episodes are pretty good as well. But yeah, I think she's directing one. Yeah, she's the main one. She's the showrunner for sure. So she's running the whole ship. That's really the director anyway. The director of a TV series is the showrunner. But yeah, she's I love, I love her work. I think she's phenomenal. So I'm expecting, this would be a great series. And like you said, they bringing back Hayden Christensen. You got Ben, you got Joel Edgerton showing up in this thing. It's like you can't mess this up. How could you mess this up? You can't mess this up. If you mess this up, like what? And you got Deborah Chow doing it. I just don't think it's possible. That's just my personal.
It's gonna be good. That's why we're all excited right now. Like, dude, this thing dropped, and that's why they dropped the 2 episodes. Like,
man. The thing that sucks about it is that I'm going to be at Star Wars Celebration like that day. Like, I'll probably be I'll probably watch it at midnight that day. So that Friday, I'm probably going to wake up early, watch it at midnight, and then go to Star Wars Celebration later that day. And,
you won't be alone.
Oh,
you won't be the only one doing that.
Oh yeah. And then like after that, guys, I want to do a recap. So that night or maybe even Saturday, we could just recap it if that's cool. Okay. We'll work it out. We'll work out what time we get together and do that. But anyway, folks, that'll do it. This episode of Sith is the Way is in the books. I want to thank Travell and Taylor for showing up. Really appreciate the support, guys. Any last word for the people that are watching and listening?
Yeah, real quick. You know who I'm talking about. Friend at work. I inadvertently said another hope in the last episode. I didn't mean to say a new hope. So to the person who pointed that out to me, are you happy now? Are you good now? It's a new hope. I know it's Star Wars episodes, man. You know who I'm talking about.
I tried to clean it up with the edit when I threw it at the end. I guess they didn't buy it.
My bad. My bad.
All right, folks. On that note, we're going to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for watching. Tune in next week, same time. We're going to have another episode of Sith is the Way. And for Travell and Taylor, that'll do it. See you next time.